Welcome in everybody to episode 10, and it's titled today, How Are We Now? I am Dave Ford.
And I'm Todd Steele.
Right off the top, I think everybody knows this is going to be an emotional show to get through today. We have hyped it for 2 weeks now, and this was the cornerstone for us, Coach, when we first got together in the first week of June, and we sat down and we talked about our mission statement for the show, and we said, the town, the county is going to be depending on us.
Oh yeah.
Around this time of year to talk about this, and I want to say this right off the bat, that if you were a victim of Hurricane Michael, whether you rode it out in your house like we did in ours, or whether you evacuated and you came back in town, and you made it this far in the last 12 months, pat yourself on the back.
Definitely.
God bless you for getting this far. This has been the toughest year of my life.
Yes.
And that's saying a lot. And I don't know about you, man, but I think like for 11 and a half months, my brain was protecting me. It was saying, just keep going, keep going, keep going. But as we got to this anniversary date, I got really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I started feeling and thinking things I hadn't before. And, we're always transparent here. You and I are, and just to be with the audience, if anybody out there is struggling with PTSD, which I know I am for a fact. I did write down a website today that I want to go ahead and get this off the top of the show, and I'll say it again at the end. Life Management Center just publicized, I believe it was yesterday, there was a health fair over at the beach, and Life Management Center is now offering counseling for PTSD related to Hurricane Michael. If you are interested in that, you can log on to LMCCARES, which is lmccares.org, or you can call 850-522-4485.
Oh yeah.
And if you need that help, it's out there for you to get it.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Definitely going to be one of our hardest shows. I was watching video of the day before Hurricane Michael, and then the day of stuff that I was doing, trying to get ready for the hurricane. Just being in Florida, we look at hurricanes as, all right, we got a hurricane party.
Yeah.
And I look back now, I'm like, man, what was I thinking? But you start looking at the maps, and it was like, all right, it's going to be a Category 1, and it's going to turn to a 2 right before it hit the land, and all of that changed drastically.
It did.
And I don't really understand. I think people really don't get or understand the magnitude of, unless you're in Panama City or the surrounding areas, of how strong this storm was. We took it as light. I've been here through every storm in my little 42 years in Panama City, and I had never experienced anything like this. So looking back, it's kind of hard to look back. I don't even know why I still have those pictures in my phone. I want to get rid of some of them, but it's something that always remind me. I know when I wake up tomorrow, my first post is going to be just basically, this is the day I almost died. I almost died this day. I can't say that every day, but this was the day. This is one of my days that I know was closer to death than anything I had been through in my life.
Well, and it's tough to say that out loud.
Yes.
And I think I've said it probably less than 10 times, but every time I say it, it seems to almost get more painful. And you think when you say something enough that it feels better, it gets more painful. And there's so much to unpack here is the correct word. You think about 12 months, and how does your brain actually condense that? How do we work with that? Because sometimes we say, gosh, it's gone by so fast.
Yes.
Well, you and I remember days, and our kids remember days that seemed forever long. And I remember in some quiet moments feeling very hopeless.
Yes.
And you really didn't know where the finish line was going to be. But the crappy part about that, dude, is there is no finish line right now. There's no happy ending to this story.
No, it's definitely not. And I was just talking the other day, you ride through town and you're like, all right, it's starting to look normal. And then you ride down 23rd Street. Then you look at the movie theaters and you look at other buildings that haven't even been touched yet.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this is far from over.
Right.
But I want to say it extremely wrecks my nerves when I hear like weathermen. I forget the guys. I don't even want to name his name, but just to say that America has never seen a Category 5 storm, and you're like, wait a minute, right here in Panama City, we had
exactly.
one. We reported on it, and now it's like they forgot about us. Yeah, Al Roker, they forgot about us like instantly. As soon as hurricane season come back around, nobody talks about Panama City. And that's the heartbreaking part. I think if the beach would have got tore up, you'll hear more stuff about it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do us any good. We had our president in, he was on the beach, and yeah, they talked about the hurricane, but people looking on from TV all around the world, they're like, Panama City doesn't look tore up. That's Panama City Beach. You got to come to Panama City to actually see what's going on in Panama City.
Well, what you brought up is a central point that I spoke to my dad about this just yesterday, and I realized how much I hadn't dealt with my emotions until I spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
And without my dad, without my mom, and without Demi's mom, Debbie, watching our dog for us for 8 months, I don't know where we'd be right now. I really honestly don't know. And when I started going through things with him, and I was talking about some realizations I was having, I got really tripped up. And by the time I got off the phone yesterday, the only thing that was holding me up was the bathroom counter. I lost it. I actually lost it. I had a meltdown, and all of a sudden I was a 5-year-old kid. It just went boom. Just the tears just came down, and the pain is still so fresh. Mm-hmm. It's been 12 months, but the pain is almost untouched.
Oh yeah.
And you know, you as a father, you feel that you are the protector.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you were shuffling your family from one room to another. Water's coming in the window, busted window. There's water everywhere. You're seeing your ceiling coming down in your apartment.
Yes.
Over here, we're huddled in a hallway, which to this day, I can't go in that hallway without thinking about it. Like, it's ruined that part of the house for me, even though our son's house, rooms have been rebuilt and they're brand new, which is such a blessing. Mm-hmm. But I can't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's hard to enjoy.
It is, but there's that guilt.
Yes.
There's that guilt because, and the point I'm getting to that you brought up when you're driving around town is this. So, you know, we've talked about before how as coaches we relate life to winning and losing, right?
Yes.
And we do lose more in life than we win, and we accept that. Well, so if you lose a loved one to death, or if you lose a relationship, you lose in a marriage, you lose a friendship, and et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. There's one big difference there, dude. You don't get reminded of that visually every single day.
No.
It's not right here. Well, this is our reality every single day. Mm-hmm. There's not a street, there's not a road, there's not a neighborhood that we can go to within 100 miles that we're not reminded every single day of what happened here. So it haunts me every single day. And that's where I'm not making any progress. That's where I'm struggling right now.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to make progress when you're constantly looking at it. Like you said, if you're in a bad relationship and you get out of that relationship, you don't have to look at that person every day.
Right.
You don't have to hold on to that. But what we've been through, we relive it every day.
Yeah, from start to finish.
Anytime a storm comes now, my kids freak out. They're like, oh my God, what's going on? We didn't believe that.
Yep.
The one hurricane that was coming here, that was headed towards Jacksonville, was going to go up, Dorian.
Yeah.
They were paranoid. It was like, all right, we're to book some rooms. We're going to Alabama. We're going to do this. And I'm like, hold on, y'all.
Yeah.
But I felt bad for saying, hold on, y'all, because last time I said, hold on, y'all, it's going to be all right.
I feel you.
And then the truth was, it wasn't all right. I mean, we survived, but just to have them screams in my head, hearing my daughter's praying,
mm-hmm.
my daughter's crying, the dog in the bathtub, everybody's in the bathtub, sounding like a tornado coming through
mm-hmm.
The apartment complex, and then just hearing everything in my daughter's room just breaking. a brick or whatever it was hit the window, took the window out, and I'm trying to pry that door so it won't create a vacuum through the house.
Exactly.
So I'm rolling my chairs, pushing it up to the door, holding a broomstick up there, making sure nothing else comes through. But at the same time, listening to she was 11 then at the time, listening to all her stuff break, everything that she had, gotten throughout her life being destroyed.
Right.
And you just hear glass just breaking constantly, rain coming in. It was a very hard experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then even after that, we had to stay in that apartment for another 8 months. We just moved into a new apartment.
Right.
But you're constantly reminded. Now I'm in a better apartment now, but I'm like, these were destroyed the worst. People couldn't even live in these afterwards. Right. So if another storm comes, what are we going to do? We're going to lose everything all over again, start all over again. So it is one big heartbreak after another. I mean, to the point where I'm like, I don't want to stay in Panama City no more. And this has been my home my whole life, but the home that I know is not it anymore. I don't remember Panama City looking like this.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
What we're living in is the time of before, and then we have since.
Yes.
It's an alternate timeline, actually. If you were to watch a movie, it's an alternate timeline. It's like a parallel universe.
Definitely.
And when you have little kids, you're reading them little stories at night, and you're telling them that monsters aren't real, and it turns out that's a lie. Monsters are real. Yeah. And we lived it.
Oh yeah, we definitely lived that.
When you look at the satellite pictures, dude, you actually look at it, and I stutter because I still can't wrap my mind. I saw one just today, the size of that storm covering the width of the state of Florida.
Yes.
And you're like, how did I make it?
Yes.
How did I make it out of this?
Yeah, how did I survive?
And that's that survivor's guilt. That's what I'm living with every single day. And my dad told me yesterday, he said, you got to let yourself off the hook, son. I said, how?
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that, Dad? And he's like, it wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know. And I said, but I feel like because of me putting my family in danger, that it could have been my fault. And he's like, but you've got to go forward. He's like, you guys are good. You're okay.
Yeah.
You're healthy.
Yeah.
And again, though, we're proud men. We were raised like that we internalize that we're strong. We have to be strong for those people around us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done that for all these months. But again, it's like I was subconsciously going, oh wow, it's getting close. And all these feelings that I hadn't dealt with came rushing back.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It like I said, when you are the man in your house, and your main job is to protect, provide, profess, do all of those different things, and then you get to a point where you cannot protect. It's like, it's weird for me, but that's why I never want to put my whole family on an airplane.
Oh yeah.
Because if the plane falls out the sky,
oh gosh,
there's nothing I can do about it to save anybody. But if we're somewhere and somebody starts shooting or acting crazy, I can cover and protect my family and do what I have to do to protect them. But when you are helpless in a state like we were, when you just hear winds just ripping through and everything you know and love is just being broken and destroyed, and there's nothing you can do about it but just hold on.
right.
That I don't ever want to experience that helpless feeling like that again.
No.
Just the feeling of helplessness. And then the days after, just being helpless. We're running out of food, there's no power, trying to get water, trying to get gas, wondering when the help is going to come in. The most disheartening thing was for me, and my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, they were on the other side of town. They were in Callaway, and we got a phone call from them, and they said, "Hey, the roof has come off," and then the phone went dead. So then we have to ride the whole storm out, not knowing if they're okay. And then you keep trying to call. Verizon has no service. I got service, but Verizon has, everybody in the house has a Verizon phone. So we don't know until daylight the next day because the streets were flooded with water. So I drove my truck trying to get to Callaway. We couldn't make it. We had to turn back around and come back and just wait to make sure it was all right. We got a phone call like later on that night from one of my daughter's friends saying that they had made it down to her house, which is probably like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And they're running in the middle of the storm trying to survive. And then you're like, man, what is going on with all of this stuff? And it was like the most scariest thing I've ever been through. Just that feeling of helplessness. Like I can't do anything to protect my family. I can't do anything to help them at all. And it just drove me insane.
Our oldest, Destiny, just wrote in the sound of any kind of storm, any kind of wind is permanently ruined for her. And that's been the general sentiment from our kids. And I actually, we talked about this before the show, that trying to get the thoughts from the children on how they're dealing in these 12 months since, and how do they handle wind changes, and do the goosebumps rise? And unfortunately the answer is yes.
Yeah.
The children of this town have suffered terribly. I think when we were teaching last year, and of course you were called in to action. You weren't teaching, and you were called into action, and we were so glad to get you back. Let's go back to that moment for a minute, because I've gone back there a million times in my mind, one of the segments, and we were in the midst of a football season that was in a downward spiral. We were 0-6.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we know, we got smacked with the largest hand that we could have, and the season's over, right?
Yeah.
I've thought about those seniors, which we didn't have many on the team. I think we had 3 seniors last year. But I'm like, they got to live with that. They got to live with the fact they didn't have a say.
Season over with.
And how would I have felt? How would you have felt if we didn't get a chance at our last 4 games?
Yeah.
It's just done.
Yeah.
And then we have 4 weeks off. And we come back, and then for me it was basketball season. For you it was basketball season. We're dealing with things at home. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I love basketball. Basketball is my first love before any kind of female on this earth.
Yeah.
I didn't want any part of it.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't ready. I told everybody who would listen to me, I'm not ready.
Yeah, we definitely wasn't ready.
No.
I mean, but that was just a testament to who North Bay Haven was at that particular time. Like, they was like, hey, we got to pull it together. I actually went out and had dinner with Mike and Cass, and we were all out in the Destin stand, which was just great. It was just great to get out and see the guys. But I want to kind of go from then to now to talk about that scenario. At that particular time, I was interim head coach.
Right.
And my gosh, I was coaching my behind off.
Yeah, you were.
I was having a blast trying to get those kids to play at another level that they didn't think they could play at. And we was getting ready to prepare for the next game, and it was like, hey man, the hurricane is coming. We don't know. Then all of a sudden, it all gets killed.
Yeah, it's done.
It's just done. And then we. That's why I want to go from then to now. This is what makes everything that's going on right now in the news and the media so disheartening. If it wasn't for Mosley football, if it wasn't for Josh Vandergriff, if it wasn't for Jeremy Brown, we wouldn't have had sports last year, period.
Amen.
And I mean, I need everybody to stop playing with it, stop saying this, stop saying that. If it was not for Mosley, sports would not exist last year in school because of what Mosley did. Mosley said, we're going to put this thing together, we're going to bring the community out, and kudos to Jeremy Brown because he bought everything, found kids, did what they had to do. Kids were staying with this person, they called them all back in and said, hey, the season is not done, we're going to play this game. And to play that game at Tommy Allen Stadium, man, it gave me chills. I remember Jeremy invited me over to speak to the kids at Mosley and just try to encourage them because some of them had lost everything.
Yeah.
Some of them was without parents. And for them to actually get to be able to play a game was like life-changing. Those guys from day one was like, you know what, soon as the hurricane was over, Josh Vandergriff was at Mosley trying to put Mosley back together and trying to figure out how we're going to play games. Because everybody else said, you know what, sports this year is done.
Yep.
And I hate that because we don't think about the kids when we do stuff like that. We needed something then to pull us all together. We needed some hope. We needed some guidance. Mosley football at that time gave me hope. It gave me guidance. It pushed me in the right direction. And for us to act like right now that these people are so bad when they was the ones that held everything down. I don't care what school you went to, everybody felt it that day. And for them to play a game probably like a week or so or 2 weeks after the storm is just amazing.
It was.
And it's a shame now that we tearing everybody, every good person over there down. I really hate that because that was my only hope after the storm. That was my only will to say, you know what, I'm going to get it, I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to make it happen. That forced a lot of people to say, you know what, maybe the seasons are not done. Because of what Mosley did, I was able to coach girls basketball last year. Had they not pulled that off, we'd have been looking probably sometime in January trying to have middle school sports or high school sports because everybody was just so tore up about everything.
Right.
That was the only piece of hope that I had, and it drives me insane right now that we're acting the way we act. But that's what gave me joy, seeing people pull together, people that normally don't get along, people that don't normally associate and talk with each other was actually getting along. I told you the story of the rich lady that was way down the line to get gas at Sam's, was probably from Sam's to the beach.
Yes.
And she had a nice little Jaguar and she tried to whip up in front of everybody and all the army guys, they was like, no. Back of the line.
Mm-hmm.
It put everybody on the same page. And we go day in, day out now, and we treat people like they're not even people. So, you know, the storm brought a lot of hurt, but it showed me the hearts of people around this time. And it's a shame that stuff got to come like that, and stuff has to happen to bring us together like that. But I can't explain that time. That was my hope, seeing everybody get together and fighting back. I wonder if we're fighting right now.
Thank you for saying that. No, I appreciate that. And the sad part is I was on the opposite end of you. Sports wasn't even enough for me to get me in an area where I could see clearly. I'm going to just flat out say it. I was in a fog. I didn't feel like I could lead anybody anywhere. I felt like I already failed. I felt like I had cheated death. I felt like I was on borrowed time. I was like, good job, Dave. You got lucky. You had everybody on the wrong side of the house because it turned out we should have been on the opposite end of the house because that one held up better.
Yeah.
I had everybody on the side of the house where the AC unit gets picked up, yanked, boom, hits the wall behind us, and we all felt it.
Yeah.
We were on the side of the house where we're seeing the light in the front swing around like a carousel, bang, 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 hitting the glass. So bad to where the kids have begged us since, can we please replace that light because we don't see that light the same anymore.
Yeah.
It's little details like this. How do we verbalize this to the outside world? How can we? Is it even possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you talk about moments of hope, and yes, thank you for bringing that up because how soon we forget.
Yeah.
How soon we forget. And yes, our community, we should be proud because we did come together. And that was another part that I was having a hard time dealing with because we had to leave, dude. We were only 6 months here from Demi being in cancer treatment. Our house was breached, smelled like a disgusting rainforest.
Yep.
So she couldn't be here.
Yep.
Son Davis couldn't be here because he's got mold-related asthma.
Oh yeah.
So I was in a situation, I'm like, we got to get out. We can sleep here tonight. Obviously the doors are open, got no power.
Yeah.
And you remember how hot it was that night. Oh my God, it was hot that night. And you're sticky, you know, I don't know how I fell asleep that night. I don't remember. I think I just probably collapsed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you wake up to, I'll never forget it. The chainsaw to me will never be the same.
Yeah.
Used to be a funny joke with horror movies. Well, it's all about Hurricane Michael trees from now on. That was how I woke up that day.
Yes.
And all the kids were out here on mattresses. Brought them out here, put them on the floor because we had every pot and pan in the house was full of disgusting water coming through the ceiling.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So To put together a virtual timeline is just so overwhelming, you know, and that's why I use the word at the top of the show, unpack. Because really, unpacking this is so hard to do. And I mean, I can tell just by listening to you that you haven't dealt with a lot of things yet.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't though, because life's got to go on.
Yep.
It's got to go on, but it's so freaking hard for life to go on when you look around town. We had a homeless problem before October 10th last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now our homeless problem is eroding.
Yeah, it's bad.
I read about a term today that we've got an extreme problem in Bay County with squatting. Have you heard about this?
No, I didn't hear about it.
Okay. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with weights.
Oh,
this has to do with, and this is crazy, so hear me out here. This is really nuts, and maybe everybody listening and watching right now hasn't heard this either. Squatting is a term that we have in our town, in our county, for people that are taking up residence in houses that are either abandoned because they're not livable anymore, or they're being rebuilt and the owners aren't there.
Wow.
So you have people seeking refuge. They are taking up residence in these houses that don't belong to them. They're changing the name for the power bill. They're getting power. They're making enough money to get power, or they're changing locks.
Yeah.
And then the homeowners are coming back. And they're saying, what the heck are you doing in my home? And the dude says, this is my house now.
Wow.
It ain't my fault you weren't here.
Wow. Wow.
And you're like, seriously? We got to add another problem?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I have empathy for the squatters.
Yeah.
Because you and I have talked about this, the rates that have been raised in this town. Sure, we're opening up jobs. New businesses are coming, but where are people going to live?
Yeah. I mean, there's no place to live.
There's not.
My rent went up $300. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I tell my family every day, listen, I can't afford to stay here. I mean, it was already high before the storm. Now just to go up $300 more, and people are renting their houses out because they're like, man, I normally could get about $1,000, but I'm going to raise it up to $2,400.
Oh, sure.
I was looking at one house, they wanted $3,600 a month. It's a 4-bedroom. I'm like, who can afford that? Not on my salary.
No.
So people are having to leave Panama City left and right. And they always talk about price gouging. Oh my gosh, oh, you guys are selling water, $10 a case, generators. We're getting all these people, we're popping them left and right. We're doing all of this. If they want to do something, you come in right now, and listen, no knock against your homeowners that are renting your houses out, but you know people are struggling. You know they're going through. Why would you raise the price of your rent $1,000 just to make some quick cash right now? You're not benefiting that family. You're putting them in a hole. You're doing all these things. I'm like, where are the morals? Where are those morals? Do we have to have another storm or some more turmoil in our life for us to recognize that we need to love each other, we need to appreciate each other, and we can start doing what God tells us to do? Because right now, the way a lot of us are living is not right. It's not correct.
It's not. It's not. And I know we sound angry right now, and I think it's because we do harbor a lot of anger. We harbor a lot of, we feel like we've been disrespected. We feel we have resentment.
Everybody forgot about us.
They did.
They forgot about us.
And I hate to bring this up, and there's no right way for me to say this, so I apologize before I say it. But I feel so awful for the people in the Bahamas.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And they've been forgotten about too.
Definitely.
And so I completely sympathize and empathize with them. And the crazy thing is, so we went 14 years without a big storm. So you're talking about Katrina, right?
Mm-hmm.
From 05, actually it was 13 years. 13 years without a big storm. Boom, we get hit. But then not even 10 months later, Dorian comes.
Yeah.
So Katrina gets 13 years to simmer in our system, and we feel bad for them, we feel sympathy for them. And I guarantee you the people in New Orleans are still reminded of that every day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, excuse me, that parts of that area have not been repaired.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of people left and never came back.
Oh yeah.
That's happening here now. We are the new Katrina because it was a bigger storm. It was more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But we're sandwiched like a piece of meat because you got Dorian just completely almost wiped the Bahamas off the freaking map, off the globe.
Yeah.
And so we were already forgotten about, but now we have been pushed under the rug completely, and the rug is sealed, and we're done.
I know it. Listen, it's just unexplainable. I don't know what else to say about it. Don Westinghouse, my good friend, said morals is a term that has been forgotten.
It has.
With exclamation points. And I mean, where are people's morals? I mean, I deal with them and talk to them daily, and I'm like, man, who raised you? Like, where did you come from? What is wrong with you? I mean, like, I know I harp on the thing with Mosley, and I can even go in detail with Coach Rod. I don't even know why the news put his face on it. I don't even know why they did.
I don't either.
It bothers me, because the thing is, you know, if you really want to come get an interview, come interview the man that was riding through the storm, out barbecuing, cooking people food, bringing baby clothes and doing all that. That's something that you need to talk about.
Right.
That's news. Not bringing up a man's past, because people can change and change for the better. And I watched this guy. He was like, hey, you straight. Someone storm over. He's calling me, getting in contact. You need ice, you need this, you need. They kept traveling. Him and a group of my friends going around making sure everybody in the hoods or the urban areas was straight. Because, you know, it got to a point where people was like robbing and looting, and they wasn't robbing each other, but they was running up in the dollar store.
People shooting each other.
Yeah, they were trying to survive. And here you have a man who is going off. He has his kids to worry about, but he's trying to take care of everybody else. So I don't get this new thing where we don't have morals and we don't let people be, because if you judge me right now based on my past, I'm a piece of crap. I'm not the guy that you want to deal with or that you even want to talk to. It makes no sense to me. But we have lost a lot of our morals. And I said, you know what? I felt a lot of it. I said, God is trying to wake us up and tell us something. I'm not even going to call it punishment, because he's trying to wake us up and tell us something. And a lot of people, they got more now than they had a year ago.
True.
So some of them can say, you know what? God blessed this storm. It blessed me, because I would have never got my house remodeled. I would have never done this. But God put me in a situation now to where I can be blessed. But we run around and we're back to the old Panama City in some ways.
We are.
Where we're bashing each other. This school doesn't like this school. That school is telling on this school. Where are your freaking morals, people? We have been through a natural disaster. Everybody that stayed here almost died. You can say, man, I am a hurricane survivor. People that left say, I feel bad because I can't really say I'm a survivor because I left. I was like, yes, you can, because you came back to nothing. Some of you guys, your house was blew down. But we have lost our sense of statement. But like, just, we don't get it. And I'm like, okay, I hope God doesn't have to wake us up and warn us again with another warning before we finally start to get it.
Well, we wouldn't make it again.
We definitely wouldn't make it.
We just got a question from Erica McNabb Floyd. Thank you for tuning in. She says, do you guys miss the sense of community and closeness we all had in the first days after? Absolutely. You know, we talked about that earlier, where it's very similar to 9/11.
Yes.
You know, when you had the patriotic sense that swept across the nation, and all of a sudden everybody's waving the flag and we love America, and that died down too.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And this is really, in a parallel universe, is the same.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, the cleanup efforts here, think about this for a second. Really, and I thought about this on the way home today. The cleanup effort here continues, right? Mm-hmm. You know how you look on a Christmas tree and you see the ornaments and they just become a part of your house, right? Mm-hmm. Large debris trucks, the ones that are back to back, the gigantic ones, have become ornaments in our town. They're just another car.
Oh yeah.
Well, it only took 8 months to clean up ground zero.
Yeah.
And it's still going on here. And I'm not minimizing that. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not minimizing that, but I'm giving everybody some perspective that the cleanup goes on here today as we speak. The debris trucks are out on the street right now.
Yeah, right now.
They don't go back for the night until 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. Mm-hmm. The people out there, please get your head around this straight, that it's still happening. It ain't over. Mm-hmm. And it ain't going to be over. You know that word indefinite. I hate that word, and I love words. I'm a writer. I'm a linguist, but indefinite. There's no end.
Yeah. It's amazing how there's like no ending to it, like no ending in sight. They were just tearing down the movie theater yesterday.
I know.
Because our movie theater is, listen, we don't have a movie theater in Panama City right now. You know, Winn-Dixie is just now starting to open. We're just now starting to get those grocery stores back. Publix was open after the storm and was getting grocery out and doing everything. Kudos to Publix.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, man, these were times I felt so alone. And then I rode to Mexico Beach and I was like, where is Mexico Beach? Where's all these houses?
Yeah.
Where are all these restaurants? Where is this? Where is that? And it was gone. Then you're riding down the highway and the highway just disappears. There's nothing but rocks there from where the road used to be.
That's right.
And then you told me before we started, somebody's saying that Mexico Beach has been rebuilt. No, it has not. Tiller Air Force Base hasn't been rebuilt.
Yeah.
Then we had these kooky people that's representing different states of Texas and everybody saying, oh, I don't know if we need to rebuild Temple. I don't know if we need to give Panama City any money. I don't know if we need to let those funds go. How, when people are sleeping in tents? People are still sleeping in tents.
They are. They have tent cities.
Listen, everywhere I turn around, all I see is FEMA trailers everywhere.
Yep.
If you look in the news, Harold, under like the rentals and apartments and stuff for rent, you will see people renting out FEMA trailers for like $2,000 a month. I mean, it's like price gouging on a whole nother level. And I don't get it for them to say they care about us. And I hate to seem like I'm bitter, but listen, I've been mad about this for a while. Because I care about people. I don't care about anything else. I care about people. And I want them to be done right and treated fair.
Brother, we're all mad and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's okay because we have a right to be angry because when you've been told through reports and you've been told through the government saying, okay, you've got your funding, now shut up and go away.
Yeah.
We don't have any recourse.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be quiet and just and still existing in this environment that's destruction and despair.
Yes.
And you know, let's talk about the kids for a second. Let's talk about that because again, you know,
before you get there, Don Westinghouse made a great point.
Go ahead.
When he says, "How often do you see 850 strong now?" Hashtag 850 strong now. Before it was a term with a meaning, but now it feels like a hashtag. So before it meant something to us, 850 strong, and now it's something that we can sell it on a T-shirt.
But isn't that how we are as society, though?
Oh, everywhere.
We can get behind anything for 2 weeks. We can do those donations. We can get everything. We can get behind something.
Yes.
But what's that word, commitment? Do we know that word anymore? You and I do.
Yeah.
And the people that we have in our circle, as you so aptly put it, I loved how you said that your circle is so close it's a dot. I love that.
Yeah. You got to keep a small circle.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
We know about commitment, but the community at large doesn't get that. And if they get it, they don't want to turn their whole attention towards it. Like, yeah, I put my energy towards it. I just can't anymore. And you know, and there's a part of me that says, you know what, I get it.
Oh yeah.
We're tired.
Yep. Yep.
We are tired. I joke sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I'll go around the house at night, and I've had a tough day, and I do a pseudo Southern accent. I'm like, I'm tired, Mama.
Yeah.
We are. We're tired, dude.
Yeah.
We're tired in every sense of the word. We're tired of the bull crap. We're tired of being tired. We're tired of feeling sad. We're tired of feeling angry. We want to get up in a world where, you know, obviously the beautiful weather that we have here, people would call it paradise.
Exactly.
And it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it used to be. It ain't now.
Definitely. Definitely not what it used to be.
And we're adults and we can handle it. You know, even though I would say most days I don't do a good job. I told you recently I put together 75% of a good day, but the last 25% I fail. So I asked the kids yesterday. I said, you know, we're doing the show tomorrow, and I really, you know, do something for me and Coach Ty. We want to know how you're doing.
Yeah.
And I just want to read a couple lines. One of them said, I'm starting to feel a bit better, but I'm still sad when I look in my backyard. The reason is because I remember me and my siblings having fun swimming in our pool and also having cookouts, family stuff like that. Another one says, I sometimes get scared of a little gust of wind or small rainstorm, And the anxiety I get from dark clouds and panic that surges through me like a hurricane. How am I? To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'll just read a couple more and then we can move forward. And this one says some of the same thing. I've been feeling okay, good even, but every time I see storm clouds, or if it does storm, it puts me into a panic. And the last one says, I've gotten better and our house has gotten updated after the hurricane and I have better time sleeping.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's about, just if you ask any kid in Panama City right now, that's like, that is their feeling. I know my girls, you know, rain used to be a great time for them.
oh yeah,
They was like, oh this is some good sleeping weather.
yes.
But now, when they hear it, they're scared. And they was like, Dad, can I sleep with you? I'm like, no, go get in your bed. And she was like, Dad, please. I'm like, I'm scared. Or we'll get her to sleep. She'll go to the room, but in the middle of the night, she gets up and get in the bed with her sister. So it's always that doubt there now.
Right.
Anytime they hear a storm or they hear hurricane, they don't want to be there.
Right.
And for me, for my kids, like, you know, without a doubt, they know that I'm going to die protecting them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care what I'm up against or what's coming at me. I'm going to run right in the face of danger. If it's a lion, I got to take it on. I got to do all of those things. And like I said, just during that storm, to feel vulnerable, to feel helpless the way we did, you know, and they run to me for protection. Well, I didn't do a good job as a dad that day. I felt like protecting them because I should have got us out of here. But I was in full dad mode, running around, nailing stuff up, getting everything. I was like, y'all over this room, no matter what you hear, don't come out. Stay in there, don't come out. And so, you know, I did go in full dad mode, but I feel bad that I should never put them in that predicament. And then just to live here afterwards, you know, our kids, your kids, my kids, we're all used to living, or we're accustomed to a lifestyle.
Right.
So we're accustomed to go take a shower and walking on turn electricity and cut the stove on and do all. We're accustomed to doing those things. And when you had to stay in the pitch black, pitch dark, not knowing what's going on, and then trying to figure out the next day and your stink, it was bad.
Well, it became the subject of what happens sometimes here at dinner tables. Like these kids love to do, okay, what would you do, what if?
Yeah.
That's what it became. And all of a sudden, we were in the what if situation. And you're cut off.
Yes.
We were cut off from the outside world. You had no self-service. You had, how were you going to communicate?
Yeah.
You couldn't drive anywhere.
Nope.
In most neighborhoods, I'd say in 98% of the neighborhoods, trees were down across every road. You had flooding on every street.
Yes.
It was apocalyptic.
Yes, it was.
It was the apocalypse. It had happened.
Yep.
And I was going, what? I felt so inadequate in that moment. I felt less of a man. And that's something else that you deal with, as that guilt, as, dang, I thought I could deal, but you can't train for that.
No, there's no training in the world for that hurricane.
There's no amount of flashlights or cases of water that I could have gotten and bought and been ready for that.
Yeah.
And I am ashamed to say that I was the guy smiling and waving and smirking and going, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm a Floridian.
That was me.
We got
That
this.
was me.
I'm the one out in the front yard and I own it. You know, I got my big old backboard out there that I posted yesterday that I loaded up and I threw it away. But on that day, Demi's saying, don't you think we should move this to the side of the house?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're fine.
Yeah.
So I go out there with my smart butt and I go and I turn it catty corner and I bury the corner of it into the ground. I'm like, look, I just anchored it. This thing's steel. It ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a Cat 3 anyway.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I've gone, dude, I've gone over that scene so many times.
Yeah.
I can't change it. And that's that whole let yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
You know, and again, how do you get there where you let yourself off the hook? You mentioned that your daughter, and we talked about the kids, about how what used to be peaceful and brought joy now brings terror.
Yes, it does.
Now it brings nightmares. We had a sound machine that we used to fall asleep to in our bedroom. Of you had some thunder, you could have some rain. Loved it.
Yeah.
It's not in there anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. You know what's weird though? It's hard like forgiving yourself. But I think about it, and I don't know if and I don't really think it was arrogance, but we stayed and survived so many storms beforehand. Staying in my grandmother's house, it was nowhere near hurricane, but she was like, "We are not leaving. We're going to stay right here. We're going to ride this going on out. We're going to live without power, but it's a gas stove. I can cook, and we can warm water up. We can do all that." So I was fine in those days, and I was like, "Man, this is pretty cool. We ride this storm out. It was like a hurricane party."
Yeah.
But looking back on it, we wasn't able to leave.
No.
We couldn't afford to leave, so we had no choice but to stay and ride the storm on out. So that same mentality, you know, that's what I grew up with. But I didn't understand that, you know, if grandma could afford to leave, we would have left.
Right.
So, you know, I was in a situation I wasn't able to leave like I wanted to leave. I could probably go stay a few days. I could have left, but I was like, you know, I need to save that money. I need to be able to do this. And, you know, we'll ride the storm on out. I was cooking I cooked breakfast that morning, and I cooked dinner because I knew we were going to be without power. I was like, oh, category 3 or 2, whatever they say it is, we're going to be without power for a while. So I had dinner cooked, and I had breakfast cooked, and I was about to bake some cookies and everything, and we were going to have a great old hurricane party. I had drinks in the cooler.
Absolutely.
We was ready to go. But my God, I wasn't ready for what was about to happen.
Well, I've told you, but we talked about it on the show, I think, briefly, where being a teacher, I was enjoying the time off.
Yeah.
Because we went to school that Monday on the 8th. And that's when the news started coming down that, okay, we got something serious that we're dealing with. And so cynical Dave, that was like, sweet. Yeah. I get away from these kids for a couple of days, boy. I'm about to go home and chill, watch some Netflix. I was loving it, you know, and all these people are like, reports are coming in at Walmart, all the cases of water are gone, and you better get your flashlights down. I was laughing at them. I was laughing at them. And then as it got closer, even the morning of, my dad calls me at 5 a.m. And I wasn't afraid until he called me.
Yeah.
He said, son, he said it like, okay, we have deep voices in the Ford family. He said, son, you need to leave. You need to get out of there right now. I'm worried about you all. When your father talks to you like that as a grown man, it shook me.
Oh, yeah.
But I said, Dad, it's too late.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was in a movie, but it wasn't a freaking movie. It was real. And I'm like, Dad, we don't have enough time to outrun this thing now. We're here now. That's true terror to me. Going back and even talking about that is like, dude, you're running out of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I even remember running into you, I think 2 weeks after the storm. We ran into each other over in Destin.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
and I ran over you and I put a chokehold on you.
Yeah.
And even in that moment, we kind of forgot that all hell had broken loose. And as like naive little kids, we had no idea how long the process was going to take.
Yeah, it was good to see somebody. God.
Well, I didn't want to I didn't want to part ways. I wanted to sit down and I wanted to talk. I'm like, man, I needed some camaraderie time.
Yeah, we all had something to relate to.
Oh yeah, and it was just the beginning.
That was definitely just the beginning.
It was just the beginning. We had survived 2 waves of a storm, but we had only survived the first wave of what we didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that thing where, dude, you gotta be ready. You gotta try to be ready for things all the time. You gotta try to tell the people that you need to tell them that you love them when it's time to tell them.
Exactly.
Treat people better, like you said earlier. And me and Denny were reminded of something the other day when we've got to talk about Joker. Have you seen Joker yet?
I haven't. That's my goal.
Okay.
I'm gonna see it this weekend.
Please excuse me for the tangent just a minute, everybody. Please go see Joker. It's not a comic book movie. Don't take your kids.
Yeah.
We made an executive decision knowing our kids would be upset with us that we didn't take them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now,
Yeah.
kids have no business seeing that
Oh,
movie.
yeah. It's definitely an adult movie.
Well, it deals with the ugly side, really ugly side of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you that we as a society are failing. We are failing terribly.
Yeah.
And by the time you leave the theater, you really look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I may be at fault for creating some of the people that are terrorizing us on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
I may be at fault for not realizing that people are dealing with things and I said something at the wrong time to them.
Yeah.
And it shakes you to the core. Amazing piece of art. Joaquin Phoenix is one of the greatest actors of our time.
Mm-hmm.
The man already played Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
but now he is just morphed into something that he made me feel so much pain
Mm-hmm.
for a maniac.
Oh, yeah.
And I being someone who's suffering through depression, suffering through PTSD in real time, unmedicated,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I get it.
Yes.
I get his character when you've had enough.
Yeah.
And and I'm circling that back around to what we're dealing with as a community here, where, bro, we've had enough. We've had enough of people telling us that we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've had enough of people telling us that we don't need help anymore. What I say to them, please come here. Please come here. I'll be happy to show you around town.
Yeah.
I'll miss work for a couple days
Mm-hmm.
to show you what we deal with. This is our reality.
I know, but it goes back to your question, like, how are we now?
Yeah.
And, I think about how I am now. And it's, I hadn't even talked about it. But, I don't think I'm in a good stage. I'm not in a good place. I think about the storm. Storm hit. Before the storm hit, I was living the dream. I was interim head coach. I was actually getting to show everybody that, hey, I'm not just, everybody thinks I'm a young guy. I'm an older guy. I was actually getting to show them that I really know how to coach football.
You were doing a great job.
And I go from that to knowing, just trying to turn everything around and make it happen to Coach Gets Back, to then I see there's a need at my old school, and I'm like, I love my mental health job, but I'm going to quit my mental health job and come back and help these kids, help these students, because I felt like there was a need. So I go back and we do, the kids love me immediately. Like, oh my God, Coach Ty is our teacher in history. This is great. And I go from that, and I was having conversations with kids about life, about the storm, and all those different things, and being that shoulder that they can cry on, and just being that teacher that I was supposed to be. To fast forward to right before spring football comes around, to being told, hey, I don't know if you can coach football. I'm probably just going to let you coach special teams. And then I'm like, well, goodness, I was doing a great job before the storm, and now you guys are basically booting me out.
Yeah.
So then I have to say, okay, let me look at these other offers I have, and let me go coach elsewhere. So I went from that, and that hurt me. That kind of crippled me. That put me up like, wow, this is really going down like this.
Yeah.
And I have to leave what I love to go somewhere else where I really love, but I had unfinished work to do over here. And then it forced me to the point where I was like, all right, now I have to get another job. The job I take, less money, way less money. Then I have to add something to this job to make more money, but I'm still not where I need to be financially.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm beyond frustrated. I'm like, do I really need to stay here? Like, I need to really go somewhere else, and I'm able to provide and take care of my family like I need to.
Right.
And then, in the process of all that, my dad moves to Alabama. my mom moves to another part of Florida. And so my aunt is like the only one left that I grew up with that raised me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why am I in Panama City right now? And I like truthfully, how am I now? I'm not in a good space. This storm did more damage to Ty Steele than a lot of people know. So it's hurtful to hear and to think about people say, oh, we forgot about them, or they got this and they're fine. Panama City's really not tore up and they have great jobs there. Like, where are they? I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be able to afford this new rent. So right now, Ty Steele is not in a good place, not where I want to be. I'm blessed to be alive, but I feel like a part of me died that day. I don't know if I'm speaking for you on that part, but a lot of things are just different. I feel like a part of who I am died October 10th, 2018. And it's been a struggle for almost a year now trying to get that part of me back, because instead of being in living mode, we are in constantly hustle and grind mode. That's why I got my grind shirt on today.
It's perfect.
Because we are constantly grinding. We're trying to find places to stay. We're trying to find places to live, to eat, and to figure out how we're going to take care of this family. Every restaurant I've been to since the storm has hit or gone, the food doesn't even taste the same no more. Service is crappy at a lot of places. The food is bad. And, you know, I sat at Applebee's last night with my fraternity, my brothers, and we sat there for 45 minutes before we got our food. 45 minutes. And that's become the new normal.
It is.
Be patient with us. We just have one cook in the back. And I'm not knocking them, but then I get my food, and it's not how it tasted before the storm. And they can say, hey, man, you worry about the small things. But no, this is how I'm living right now. My food don't taste right. The electricity's not right. The water's not right. I feel like I'm always in survival mode. And every time I drive through the city, it's like a scene from Survivor, because trees are down. I'm looking out this window right now, and I see trees everywhere. And people have no idea, no concept of what we are really going through. And then they say, hey, well, you know, your man deal with it. And that's how men normally deal with things.
Right.
But we really need to be focused on our mental health. We really need to be talking to people. And there's help out there. There's different things, but you know, it's not coming fast enough. It's not happening fast enough for me. And I know I'm speaking for a multitude of people. It is hard now. It is hard. Panama City used to be a fun place to stay.
Yeah.
And I love my home always and will always will, but it has changed. And the dynamics of Panama City now is forcing a lot of people out because they have expensed themselves. It's too high to stay here.
Well,
and nothing tastes the same.
Everything you said was perfect. If I had a ticket where I had a job waiting on me somewhere else and the kids could go to school somewhere else and everything could just pick up and go, I'd take it.
Definitely.
I'd take it right now.
Definitely.
And I'm not a person that runs from adversity. I always face it, but this is different. This is a different animal where we are stuck.
Yeah.
We're stuck. And, you know, this is our home, and this is where we have kids who, not only ours that depend on us, but the kids that we taught, the kids that we coach, they depend on us.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, you're not in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a good place. And first and foremost, thank you for admitting that. And I think that makes me feel like I'm not alone, because when I lost it last night, you have that sense of, man, I'm inadequate. I got to get my crap together. And I know I need help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I need help. And there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm not making excuses. I mean, you know, you've got so many obligations that you try to get to every single day. Mm-hmm. I've got mine as well. And basketball season is getting ready to ramp up, and here in about 3 weeks, you know, we'll be in the gym every single day, even as a part-time coach, you know. And maybe that'll help me a little bit. Maybe that'll help just a little bit. But, you know, when you're reminded of that monster that is real, when you're reminded of that thing that when it hit landfall, it was the largest recorded in the Panhandle since 1850 freaking one.
Yeah.
1851, dude.
I wasn't thought about.
You know, and you say that, you can say it over and over and over again, and then you still look around and you're like, not only how am I now, but how am I here?
Yeah, why?
And then so you're trying to find purpose. You're trying to find you're trying to find a place of what's next. And you talk about how the food doesn't taste the same anymore. Well, dude, it doesn't, because the people that used to fix it aren't here anymore.
Exactly.
They had to leave.
Exactly.
And so now we have people who are warm bodies. They don't really, maybe they're not even from here. We don't even know where they're from. Maybe they came from a different state because they saw a job ad somewhere. They're like, hey, I got a chance to move. And they don't know anything about what we're going through.
Exactly.
They don't have the sense of urgency. Maybe I need to deliver a great hot meal to that man right there because he deserves it, because he's been waiting all this time for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like we feel like we deserve anything. Please don't think that.
Yeah.
I hate that word deserve. I can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
We only deserve what we put into the world, and we should get that back.
Yeah. Exactly. Trina Hill said something interesting. She said people have moved by the thousands, not by choice.
Mm-hmm.
She also says that healthcare is not the same. And a lot of those people we are definitely complaining about, and I'm with you, Trina, they are overworked. They're overworked. They don't have, they can't get those days off. They're working those crazy shifts.
No.
And so me sitting in a restaurant complaining is probably not a good thing, because they are overworked.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're trying to find a good job, or they're trying to find a job, they're trying to take care of their family just like everybody else is. I think the saddest part now, even with teachers always seem like gotta work a second job.
Oh, yeah.
Teacher. People don't realize, like, hey, they don't make a lot of money. So when I seen that the governor is trying to make starting salary like $47,000,
Yeah.
42, you know, I think that is an amazing thing. But that's
I hope it happens.
that's still not enough.
No, it's not.
I was in the classroom today, and I've been going to different schools, signing kids up for college. And this one day our teacher said something that was so, I just like, why did I think about it like that? Just about the class wanted to do something, and she was like, you know how much teachers make? And they was like, no. She was like, you think about it. If I got daycare for each one of you in my classroom, was 25 of y'all, I'll be making some good money then. But right now, I'm a certified daycare person who only makes about $33,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's not no money.
No,
especially when rent is sky high in Panama City. It is beyond crazy right now.
Another thing that we haven't touched on yet, and I know we're getting long, and I promise we'll try to wrap this up soon. The parts of the town that are unchanged are many. If you could probably have a few people from the outside and come in and take, for instance, the churches that's on Tyndall Parkway.
Yeah.
Dude, nobody's touched that parking lot. There's broken glass everywhere. You could walk right through it. It's totally exposed. Nobody's touched it. Right behind it, the Winn-Dixie's the only thing that's been rebuilt.
Yeah.
That whole strip mall behind it where Planet Fitness used to be.
Yeah.
That whole part on both sides, now that Wendy's is finally rebuilt, thank God, that's a sign of progress. But if you go all the way down Tyndall Parkway, this is my drive to work every day to the base. Nobody's touching it.
Nope. Nope.
And so
Nope.
that's another part with my mental health that cripples me from moving forward, because as much as I love going over that bridge, and it's beautiful and sunny in the morning, and I love it, see the water on both sides, before I get there, I see nothing but destruction and despair. I see nothing but people. I see the same lady. I'm sorry. I see the same lady walking every morning, and I wonder where she's going. Sorry. With the same look on her face, and I want to help her, and I don't know how, because I feel like she looks. And you just want to stop your car because you feel privileged in that moment that you're going to a great job, and that you are blessed, that your kids are safe, and that you are going to be okay, and you worry about that person, and how many more are out there like her?
Yeah.
And I've seen her in the Walmart in Callaway. I've seen her sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So she's become a staple to me. And so when you see the same person over and over again at the same time every day, I just want to go, man, where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry you don't have a car.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you don't even have a bike. And then you're wearing these slides, and you know, it's 7:30 in the morning and you've already sweat through your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kind of things that that people don't understand. And maybe I'm touching on something that we need to touch on, and it's the fact that please think about these people that you see at the same time every day, and maybe you've seen some of the same people too, and you want so badly to stop your day, and you want to stop and say, you know what, my job can wait. I want to talk to her, and maybe just giving her a hug,
Mm-hmm.
maybe giving her a word of encouragement and let her know she's not alone. Maybe that would help.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's thousands of stories out there. I see people daily like, man, you know, listen, I get joy though. I see this one guy, and he is so consistent. Every day in front of 23rd Street Shopping Plaza, right in front of Five Guys Burger, it's this guy every day, no matter what the weather situation is preaching Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Day, non-stop, preaching Jesus. So people that just bring you joy when I see them doing things like this. And then you have the people that's walking down, you know, it's homeless. And I was the type that I would always take blankets, all the ones I've collected throughout the years, and take it and just give it out to the homeless, especially the first day of winter. I just felt so bad. Because people don't realize you gotta, I don't even know if it's the homeless shelter. I don't know if how much damage they took, or if they're even open.
Yeah, there's that one part downtown Panama City. You know?
Yeah, you have to get in line and be in line at a certain time.
Yeah.
They can only take so many, and everybody else got to go sleep up under a tree.
Yeah.
There's some real issues. I want to go back to something Denny said.
Okay.
Denny said some people had put deposits on places and tried to move back, but it has taken so long, and a lot have given up on it and decided not to come back.
Yeah.
We've lost some really good people in Panama City, Mexico Beach, those surrounding areas. We've lost a lot of them because stuff is not getting built like y'all think it's getting built. I mean, the news can sit here and lie all day long and tell us that this is being, it is a process here in Panama City.
Yeah.
Like you said, it took 8 months, 6 months to get your house built to get back to normal.
Oh, it was 8 months before we got back
Yeah,
here.
so it was 8 months before I got another apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a struggle trying to pay that bill every time I turn around.
Yeah.
My friends who are in education, Jason Dempsey says, preach. He said, I coached high school football for 10 years, and it's still hard to make ends meet. My wife picked up a second job to replace my football salary, and we struggle. And this is in Mobile, Alabama. So I can't begin to understand. I begin to understand what you guys are facing. Trina says we have to put to action what we see. So I mean, we see a lot of stuff that's going on, and I just, I hope this podcast reaches the right people to let them know, like, man, we are hurting.
Yeah.
We are hurting, and people are, I hate to say, people are like praying to the wrong people to help them.
Right.
One of the signs I seen was when President Trump was coming, there was a sign, somebody had spray painted, President Trump help us. That's all fine and dandy. But, a lot of us, we got to turn from our wicked ways. We got to really start praying at night.
Yeah, we do.
We've gotten so high and mighty and so politically correct that we don't pray and that we don't want to do this. And then we tell the football coach or the basketball coach who does the Lord's Prayer at the end of each game or practice that he's wrong for doing that. That's not the right place to do that.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that we are giving praise to God for blessing us that there was no injuries, nobody got hurt, nobody died, none of this right here happened. We've got to get to the point where we're praying to the right people. And a lot of times we are asking for help and begging for help for the wrong people. And you look around town, churches are destroyed left and right.
Every one of them.
You're like, it's barely a church that is standing. You know, my church got rebuilt, and I think they've been back in now for like a month and a half. But when the churches was available, we wasn't breaking the door down to get into those places.
You're right.
We wasn't. We was so busy, so consumed with what's going on with our life that we couldn't think about anybody else. And then finally, when the storm hits, we have to start thinking about our neighbor. I'm banging on my neighbor's door, and I probably was guilty. I didn't know every neighbor I had. I knew my next door neighbor, but there was a young girl that stayed upstairs on the 3rd floor of our apartment complex who rode the storm out by herself, just her and her cat, because her dad told her not to leave. She was like 19 years old from New York City. So then I was like, why did I know this beforehand? Why did I know you was my neighbor? Because I was so busy. I was so consumed into what I was doing that, I got to a place after the storm, when the storm hit, I was like, okay, now I need to go know everybody. Now I need to go help everybody. I was pulling over on the side of the road. I was trying not to take food because I was like, we're staying out in Destin, or staying out on the beach, and I can go get me something to eat. Let me make sure this person eats. So let me make sure this person has ice. And I felt bad for being out in Destin when a lot of my family members was in Panama City struggling.
Yeah.
That hurt me.
Yes.
I'm like, man, I need to be there with my people. I need to be going through what I need to get that same experience, and I wasn't experiencing the things that they were experiencing.
Yeah.
So it hurt me. And it made me realize, like, man, we are so much better together. And it was just like a time after 9/11. It was so much division in the world, so much chaos going on in the world, and then 9/11 hit, and then everybody was on one accord. It was America this, America that.
Yeah.
That was the first time in my life I was like, man, I want to go to the military.
I know, it was so galvanizing, wasn't it?
We gotta get some get back. We're just not gonna do America like that.
Right.
And then when Panama City went through it, neighbors was helping left and right. My apartment complex, they was like all the food before it spoiled. We started grilling out at night, making plates for everybody, making sure everybody else was straight. But those times are not here no more. Everybody's going back to their selfish and their wicked ways. So it's praying time. And it's praying time for me, it's praying time for you, it's praying time for mental health, because I'm not right after the storm. And the grind in my mind has to stop, because I know I'm living in a place now that is not affordable. And that's probably anywhere in Bay County right now. It is not affordable. And people's houses, they're battling with insurance companies, stuff is still not being built.
Well, that's the criminal irony, isn't it? Is that the place that is hurting the worst is the most unaffordable to live. I guess there's one last thing I want to say about mental illness and trying to get to mental health, and I noticed something about me where, we've cleaned the backyard up a lot. We still don't have a fence, and I know a lot of people still don't have fences, but we're actually one of only 2 in our neighborhood that still doesn't have a fence. Yeah. So we stick out like a sore thumb now. We can still look right out of our backyard, and as we're on the show right now, I can see 22. I can see cars whizzing by.
Oh yeah.
So that is one thing of many that cripples me from moving forward. Every night I take out the dog for just to go for a walk. Every time I go out there to mow grass, I still see things. And so there are 2 lawnmowers that are back there that aren't functional that got thrown around like little toys during the storm. We had one of those tin sheds that, they're not great, but they're not built for a hurricane. And they're definitely not built for a Cat 5. Well, it's bent up what's left of it like a tin can.
Yeah.
And I noticed the other day, and this was something else, I spoke out loud for the first time to Demi. I said, what is keeping me from getting those lawnmowers at the end of the street? Because we have bulk pickup that just picks up random trash at the end of our street in our neighborhood. What is keeping me from getting that old patio table that withstood the entire storm out there, but we just don't use it anymore because we don't have anything out there to sit for anymore?
Oh, yeah.
And on and on and on. There is still things out there, dude, that some people would walk by and go, dude, you're a slob, you're lazy, why aren't you picking that stuff up? That's mental illness.
Yeah.
Because if you walk into somebody's room, an adult or a child, and their bed is unmade, they have a couple, maybe, you know, paper cups or soda cans on the floor, their clothes are over here, you go, man, you're not okay.
Exactly.
Because when you're mentally ill, you don't care about your surroundings. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out is, why can't I just go over there and get those lawnmowers and move them? What is stopping me? And it's like that. It's like that blog I wrote about a couple weeks ago, that I've got demons out there that laugh at me. And so there's a lot of dark stuff out there. There's a lot of dark things out there that you and I and so many people that we've got to deal with. We've got to face it, and that's the next phase. Is like you said, you're in survivor mode.
Yep.
Well, it's time to make that conscious decision, like we said on our show. Look at ourselves, say, we are enough. Let ourselves off the hook, because our family's good, we're okay.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we didn't do a good enough job then, but you know what? We're okay now, and we'll make up for it.
Yeah.
And God willing, there won't be a next time.
Yeah.
Please, God, don't let there be a next time. Because number one, this town wouldn't be able to take it. When Dorian was making that turn, I know I had talked to you that day. We were talking about when are we going to do the show again, and we were joking about looking for hotels.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it wasn't a joke.
No, that was for real.
I was looking for a place in Navarre.
Yeah, that was for real. I was going to Montgomery.
I was 15 minutes away from booking a place, and I was watching the news. I talked to my mom that day. I'm like, I don't know if this thing's coming or not, but if it is, we're out.
Yeah, so fast.
Promised the kids, I said, I don't care if it's a freaking tropical storm anymore.
So fast.
We're out.
Yeah, yeah.
We're out.
I know. I just want to close on. Listen. I don't want to sound like the bitter guy.
Right.
And I know a lot of folks definitely had it worse than I got it. Probably you got it. A lot of folks lost completely everything. A lot of folks didn't have insurance. A lot of folks took the insurance money and just left. A lot of folks are selling their houses right now, trying to get out. And I don't know what my hometown will look like, but they say it's probably going to take about 2 years to get it back to normal. I don't know if I have that long here just to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be honest, I'm applying for jobs left and right out of town. I mean, I hate to be that way, but you know, I'm tired. I'm definitely tired of struggling. I'm tired of seeing these conditions. I'm tired of seeing things not get done. I mean, I want action. And I know God had blessed me with millions of dollars and a whole lot of places to be rebuilt right now. My family wouldn't have to worry about anything, but that's not my case. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the people that called and checked on me, people that sent my family money, people that tried to help us out. And you know, our apartment complex, they didn't know anything on what they can do. It was like a few days later, it was like everybody's lease is canceled. And if you paid any money, don't worry about it. If you want to stay here, it's going to cost this amount until we get you to another apartment. So that was something that we had never experienced before. And I know I touched on it earlier, but I just want to send a shout out. And listen, I'm a Rutherford guy to the cause. I love Rutherford High School. But I'm telling you, Mosley High School was the reason why we had sports here last year.
Yep.
And those kids, those seniors, it was hard to see them not being able to play football or not being able to play sports. I went to a Rutherford game that was heartbreaking. They played, and I remember the kids that had left because of the storm, they laid their jerseys on the bench.
I remember that.
To know that these kids wasn't here. And that really touched my heart. But I'm just saying, Jeremy Brown, Josh Van Griff, Jessica Meyer, all you guys, y'all was a blessing to Bay County. So when I see what's going on in the news right now, just know that I'm praying for you guys, because you guys were an inspiration and you guys gave us hope. And like I said, I wouldn't be able to coach girls basketball last year if it had not been for what Mosley did, because the email I got, the phone call I got said that all sports had been canceled. So big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to North Bay Haven, who got back in school like a week or so before everybody else.
Oh yeah.
We didn't think anybody was coming back, and I think we probably only lost a few kids. So it was definitely different times that we were living in, but we pulled together and we were better and stronger together. And I just want to say, I may not be where I want to be at right now mentally, but I know a God who will help me get there. So y'all continue to pray for me, pray for this show, that it'll grow and it reaches who it needs to reach, and that we continue to be the men that God called us to be. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you all who's chiming in on everything. My prayers are out for you and your family. I know it's rough. Tomorrow's going to be hard to deal with. But just wake up knowing this was the day that I could have died. But God kept me around for a reason. So everybody that's here right now, you are here for a reason. Don't beat yourself up. Don't throw a pity party. You are here for a reason. You just got to figure out what that reason is. Whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, you have purpose today.
Amen. Well said. Just a couple things to empower everybody out there. I heard a term today, and I'm going to steal it, but I love it. It's time for all of us to take off our Michael mask. I'm a great actor. A lot of us have become very good actors because we go to work every day. We rise to our families every day. We go to our churches. We go to our gyms or our football fields, and we coach, etc., etc., etc. And it's a mask, and it's that survival mask of, I'm here today, but I'm not really here physically and in spirit because I'm somewhere else and I just want to feel better. Take that mask off and put it away. And tell yourself that you are enough. Tell yourself that you're ready to keep moving forward. Yes, it's been 1 year. Yes, it's going to take a long time. Anniversaries of this kind of thing are not a celebration. There are no parties. This is not something where we are throwing confetti and saying, look at us, it's our 10th episode. Aren't we great? We did this for everybody out there. Like we said at the top of the show, if you made it this far, pat yourself on the back. God bless you. We are here. I really hope, dude, that today that we helped just a few people. And they can spread the message to a few more. I know there are people at the Air Force Base that are watching this show tonight. There are some great men and women up there who, gosh, the work that they did to keep what is the biggest economic impact in our county, in our society afloat. They are heroes. They are real heroes, and we need to celebrate them. And one more thing too, like we said at the top, I want to book in with it. If you need help, like these two guys, if you need help, Life Management Center is there to help you. They now have counseling directly related to PTSD sufferers from Hurricane Michael, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm one of them. I'm not ashamed of it. I own it. I know that I need help. It's not a scary thing. It's nothing to hide from. It's something that, in order to move forward, it's an obstacle I just got to get over,
Yes,
and
definitely.
I am so grateful for this platform. I'm grateful for the people who continue to rise in numbers now watching us. We have 93 people in our Fans of the J.O.B. podcast Facebook page now. We're getting bigger. We're getting stronger. People are getting the message. And that's all we wanted to do in the first place. So thank you to everybody who has tuned in today. Thank you to everybody who, even if you missed it live, the great thing about digital technology in the 21st century is you can catch us anytime, anywhere that you want to. We truly hope you listen to us. We'll be back soon. It won't be this weekend. It'll be next weekend. We'll be back to our regular scheduled time, probably on a Saturday. God only knows what we're going to talk about. But look, until then, y'all, look, be blessed out there. Hug somebody who needs it. If you see that kind of person like we talked about earlier, who is praying out there and getting the word out about Jesus Christ on the corner, or if you see that lady that I talked about walking all the way to Walmart every day about 3 miles, man, you know, if you got a minute and you're not going to be late, or even if you are late, give them a hug.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we start doing stuff like that, that's the road to healing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the road to healing, and it just takes a couple of us. So please go out and do that. If you can help give somebody a place to stay, if you know that a rental property opens up, please email that out to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Any way that you think you can help, and there are 1,000 different ways that you can help. This is the only way that we knew how.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest way that we knew how, and I hope that we've done that today. If you have any questions and concerns for us, you can always message us on our Facebook page. Hit us up on Instagram, on Facebook. We're everywhere literally now, and that's by the grace of God that we're there. So man, I want to thank you for today.
Yeah. I appreciate you.
This has been so much better than I ever could have hoped it would be, and I think I've taken a big step forward today. I feel a little bit better. The pain is still there, but it's going to get better tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. We lived it. We survived Hurricane Michael. We're still here. And everybody in Bay County and the surrounding areas, everybody right here in our hood, please stay strong. Keep your heads up. Pray for each other. Love one another. Be good to one another out there. Say the right thing. Say the nice thing. If you don't have anything nice to say, just keep it to yourself. Please. We all need it. We all need hugs. God bless you. Be safe. Be good to each other. For Ty Steele, I'm Dave Ford. God bless. We love you all.
Shout out to Coach Rod.